priced,
right,
and the drag that the financial institutions have on themselves. And also, they do very well because they borrow at zero and they buy treasuries, so they have their yield built in. They don't have to take risks on development or construction. So the people who are in that industry are willing to pay more, which we think leaves a sort of third avenue into that business.
So what shape would that third avenue take?
Well, direct lending. Direct lending, we're looking at several real estate opportunities that we think have very good returns for us, that are very protected on the downside.
Okay.
We're dealing with interesting investment opportunities and partners.
Right, and I suppose in the future, interest rates going up will only help potential lenders. On the other hand, though, there is a lot of hunger still for capital in the developed world. Do you think people need the money right now, even as they try and come out of the recession?
There's a lot of capital still on the sidelines that's looking for a place to go, which is very interesting given that the markets are so frothy. But yes, there's a need for capital. Absolutely.
Coming back to Asia, what do you feel about the way Asian economies have sort of burst out of this recession? Some call it a sense of euphoria. The others say, well, this is the opportunity and this is where things are going to grow.
I think for sure this is where things are going to grow. You, India, have an enormous domestic base. And your rate of growth, I think, is going to be with you for a long time. I think China has this huge export opportunity that they're going to continue to have for a long time, as long as the world doesn't clamp down on them.
And US and Europe revive in a bigger way.
Yes, yeah.
But in the Asian context, and coming to India, you've previously invested here with Bharti and Feel Fresh. What do you feel about the space, the agriculture side of the story? Because that's where your interests have been, right? To get into agriculture, retail, last mile connectivity with consumers.
Yes, well, we're still a big believer in agriculture. If India could get its agricultural sector humming the way that its IT sector hums, India would be head and shoulders above all other nations. There are complications here in terms of government, both from Delhi and from the local levels, that make it difficult to build a big business. We're very pleased that Del Monte came in with Bharti because they brought a lot of domain knowledge, and they're doing juicing and they're doing the sort of higher end instead of where we originally focused, which is on working with farmers to increase their productivity of higher value crops.
Do you think there's need for a lot more players such as Del Monte to make a move into the Indian market?
Oh, I think the more people that you have in the agricultural sector and the more that you increase productivity for the farmers will be better off, the consumers will be better off, and the economy will be better off.
But you do have felt, even in your own experience, that there is a sort of a thinking gap between what the government wants to do and how they want to do that against what the private sector's interests are in terms of how they approach investment in agriculture.
That's true, and it's called politics. It's a very, very difficult balancing act between encouraging the right kind of investment and taking care of the needs of the farmers and the landowners and just the heritage on the land here in India. It is difficult. It's going to take time. But I think if agriculture could be a thriving business where all the stakeholders benefit, it would be a fantastic outcome for India.
At any point, do you get the sense that, this whole opportunity that people talk about, a billion population or billion plus population in India, is actually wearing off as an investment hook? Because at some point or the other, India has not been able to bridge the divide between rural and urban India?
No, I would say it's going to sort itself out, and the divide has got to be narrowed. The divide between rich and poor has got to be narrowed. We need in India a broader and deeper middle class. We need to bring people out of poverty.
Are we taking too long?
I think so.
You think so?
But I'm impatient. I'm always told that.
Fair enough. Having said that, there is plenty of development, here in terms of women on the move in India. And since you talked about impatience, I suppose in some ways or the other, India's political system has every time wanted to, especially from the women's end, to introduce this women's reservation bill. That's been a landmark move here in India, and some would say in the world. What do you feel about it as a development here?
You know, in a perfect world where we were all judged on the basis of our merit and our competence and our ambition and our desire and our brains, we wouldn't need it. But we don't have a perfect world. So as much as philosophically I'm not comfortable with it, I'm all for it in practicality. I think it's the only way to go. 20% of the members of parliament are women in the UK, less than 20, more like 15%.